fun. So even in a 3-hour workshop, we still didn't get to everything that I wanted to offer you guys. So this will be the first of 4 videos that I post or share with you guys, just to give you a little bit more tools to work with, more things to consider when working on your inversion practice. So each video is going to include just a brief warm-up and a posture or two to help build both strength and flexibility, and then a couple of drills to try. And I just want to say also that it's important to keep in mind that really it's the things that we do every day that matter most. And that doesn't mean that you have to do an inversion every single day, but it does mean try to do it as much as you possibly can. And in fact, for me personally, I realized the more I was doing inversions that having a maintenance day, like having some downtime, actually was really important. But for me, what the balance that I have found that works for me is trying to go hard, like do 15, 20 minutes, like really hard, good inversion work. And like I said, just 15, 20 minutes a day, whether that's like on top of regular practice or in addition to, or just standalone. But doing that like 4 to 5 times a week, and then having like 1 or 2 days of just purely stretching, like really just chill, more yin style yoga, or just really restorative, deep stretch kind of yoga. And then at least one day of just doing really little to nothing at all. So that's just been a formula that worked for me. But really the best way to learn how to do inversions is to do inversions. So these practices are intended to help you, but keep in mind that, as I said, when someone asks, like, how do you get off the wall? You get off the wall. How do you get upside down? You get upside down. So these are the tools that can help you build the strength, build the confidence, and the flexibility to work towards that. But yeah, try to get upside down. So we're gonna start with a warm-up. So the practice is gonna be similar to what we did at the workshop. We'll start with kind of a Kundalini style workout or exercise, just to get some energy flowing. And I recommend doing it for a minute or 2. I'm just gonna do it for a few rounds of breath today. Oh, by the way, I highly recommend having 2 blocks, and if you don't have blocks, just a stack of books or something can be helpful. And a chair, maybe. The wall will help if you have some free wall space in your house somewhere. But I'm going to show you an exercise involving a chair in just a moment. So, but before we get to that, so you'll start on hands and knees. And this is just a slightly more involved version of a cat and a cow. So inhale, you're going to lift your chest, lift your tailbone. And as you exhale, push back almost like child's pose and allow your spine to round. So really exaggerate the movement of your spine. Inhale, lift the tail, lift the chest. And then exhale, push back into child's pose. So I'm just going to do this 3 more times, but as I said, I highly recommend doing it for 1 minute. In Kundalini Yoga, it calls for 3 minutes. And you're really just working the spine as well as working the hips and shoulders here, which is why it's good, because it's already getting us into the joints and the muscles that we want and need to be opened for inversion practice. So after you're done with that, come into tabletop. Maybe briefly do a few fingertip push-ups. Get the arms active, get the arms warm, the wrists, forearms warm. After a few rounds of that, again, I'm going quickly, just for the sake of brevity, but feel free to go a little bit longer if you'd like to, maybe build up to a minute. And then after that, you might just take a wrist stretch, maybe add a leg. Southpaw Tiger is really good because it helps warm up the hamstrings by lifting the leg, not just lifting the knee, but like getting the whole leg up, and also train the action in the back. So you want to pull the rib cage towards the back of your body, squeeze the shoulder blades in with the chest forward, and keep the leg super strong. As much as you can train the actions of your hamstrings into basic postures like this, the better. So I'll do both sides. Keep the hips square, pull the abdomen in, lift the leg with the leg. And then I'll go straight into a plank. So plank is one of the best things that you can do, actually, to prepare for inversions, but it has to be a good plank. So my hips aren't up here, right? I want to get my hips low, but I also don't want to drop my left back. So I want to keep my hips in line with my chest and then round my back. So think of pulling the rib cage as up to the highest point of the peak, or up to the highest point of the pose. rib cage pulls with the back of the body. Hips are nice and low. Legs are strong. So squeeze those legs in and stretch your chest forward. After a few breaths, you might push up to down dog. Feet hip distance. Keep the rib cage pulling in. Push the hips back. So for today, the warm-up's just going to be a basic sun salutation. So I'm just going to do one, but I highly, sorry, it's cutting me off. So I'm just going to do one, but I highly recommend doing 3 to 5 if you're going for an inversion practice. And it really is important to warm yourself up before going straight into going upside down, especially for your wrists and shoulders. It's good to warm up first. So just a basic sun salutation. Inhale, bring your arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, step back to plank. Hold your plank. So really give yourself a moment to find that big buoyant back, low hips, strong legs and abdomen. And then keep all that plank shape, that strength as you lower down. Now notice, my elbows are forward over my wrist, not back here. And my shoulders aren't collapsed. So trying to keep the shoulders back and lowering my chest and my hips as one. And then push to the tops of the feet. Inhale. Same thing. My wrists are still over the elbows. Pull the shoulders back. Lift the chest up. Legs strong. Lower. Down dog. Alright, so for some core work, so you can always do some crunches. One of my favorite kind of crunches, prepare for inversions, is to do wide legs, arms up, and just pump like this. But even more than that, I really like core stuff that involves the whole body. So stuff like plank, stuff like a pose called Lalasana or scale pose, which we're going to do in a moment. But some good stuff that you can do in plank. You can do forearm plank or regular plank. And just pull a knee forward. Try to get your knee to touch your arm. And without lifting your hips, also get your knee to touch your leg. Get your leg to touch your abdomen. And hold. So in my foot might have to drop. So my core is keeping the leg up. My hamstring is going to keep the heel up. So squeeze. And then hold. Switch. And you might give yourself a break in between. Another good one. Same idea. Keep the leg forward and then move it across, back, back. And just go side to side like that. And then give yourself a break. Do each, maybe like hold for 5 seconds. Do each twist a couple of times side to side, like 5, 6 or so each side. And the last one, same idea. Knee forward, thigh up, heel up. I'm not going to drop my hips. I'm just going to slide the arm down. The hips will drop a little bit, but I'm not collapsing all the way down. I'm going to keep the integrity of my core. I'm going to try to keep my heel connected so just my knee goes down and then pull it back up. And then down and up. Down and up. Do like 5, maybe work up to 10 or so, and then switch sides. So heel up and just the knee goes down as much as possible. And the more that you can keep the arm and leg in contact with each other, the more you're training the squeezing in action, right? That the muscular energy, the contraction. Okay, so after that, so the stretch we're going to do today is half Hanuman and then full Hanuman. But for now, we're just going to work half. So your back leg, your knee is going to be either directly under or behind the hips, but you're not going to take your butt all the way back, right? Another thing is you want your hips square. So sometimes what happens is the hips want to rotate out. This back hip wants to turn away. So turn it forward. And try to level, keep your balance, level the hips from side to side. So take the hip of your front leg down and take the hip of your back leg forward a little bit. And try to keep that and fold. So I noticed for me that one way that really helps me stretch my hamstrings is if I think cow pose in the back. So cat is when I pop up like this, right? And that's good because I'm keeping my core engaged, making space. But if I could keep my core this engaged, keep my low belly this pulled in, but now my upper spine, think cow pose, and see how much longer my torso gets. See how much more space comes between my hip and armpit. And that, like, whew, that really, really gets the stretch for me. So do pull the low belly in. Do think of hip point up, so you're not collapsing or kind of sticking your butt out, just like sinking into it. But do pull the belly in and take the outer hip back, and keep the hip back as you move the upper back in, chest forward. All right, so you hold on a few breaths each side. So second side. So again, my knee is behind me. Your back toes can be curled under or down, but do something deliberate and push into that leg. And a way to not let this hip turn out is to squeeze your inner thigh in. So my thigh is squeezing in, and my outer hip is turning forward. And I'm going to rock up on my left heel. Dig the heel down. So you want your hamstrings strong as they are flexible. So that means push into the foot, get some tone through your hamstring. And now, butt back, low belly up, but upper back in and forward. Lift hip back, belly in, ribs in, and then upper back forward. All right, so you'll hold it a few breaths. Okay? All right, so after that, low asana. I highly recommend blocks. Again, if you don't have blocks, just some books, something. I guess we don't really have phone books anymore, but something that can help you get a little bit, just because this is, especially for me, I have shorter arms and a longer torso, so for me getting off the ground can be hard. But maybe it's not for you, I don't know. But anyways, floor is fine, blocks are fine. So you're going to cross one of your shins over the other. So not your knees. My knees are still side by side. Just cross the shins and squeeze the feet together. Sit on your feet. And then place your hands somewhere in between your knees and thighs. Okay? Now, I'm going to lean forward a little bit. So the shape is leaning forward, but the action is I'm still squeezing my shoulders back, right? So I don't want to collapse into my chest. I don't want to let my arms fall into my ears. I want to pull the shoulders back and push the hands down so my arms are strong and straight. And so now, just like we talked about in the plank pose, I'm using my hamstrings to get my heels to my hips, and I'm using my core to get my thighs to my chest. All right, so we'll do it in 2 stages. So stage 1, just lift your knees up. Use your abs and your inner thighs too. So you're squeezing your thighs together and pull your knees towards your chest. Push your hands down, and as you pull the abs in, the hips will lift. Let them pull in. Release. Switch the cross of your legs. So you might just lift your knees for a really, really long time. Even if the feet don't lift, I want you to begin to think about the muscles it would take to make them lift. So you know it's your hamstrings. So like, can you mentally turn the hamstrings on? So you switch the cross of your shins, push the hands down, squeeze the shoulders back. And so even though I'm still leaning forward, I'm still thinking chest up, right? I'm never totally giving into this rounded shape. I am letting my back round to get my abs in, but then I'm also pushing my shoulders back, right? Hands down, knees up. Now maybe I'm just thinking about hamstrings and heels up. So squeezing the thighs in and up, and I'll maybe push the ground away so much your hips get even higher, and then lift the feet. Squeeze the heels in. So everything is working. Legs, core, shoulders, everything. Good stuff. Okay? Do that a couple times. One of the best poses that you can do, so we said plank is one of the best poses you can do. Awesome. Second best pose that you can do for handstand work is chair pose or power pose. So bend your knees. Get your knees behind your toes, your shins are straight as can be, and move the front of your pelvis back. Okay? And pull your low belly in. All right, arms forward. Squeeze your shoulders onto your back. And notice that when my shoulders came back, I didn't let this happen again, right? I'm keeping the ribs in. I'm keeping my belly pulled back, and my shoulders are coming back. And then arms overhead. So in a handstand, you want your arms in line with your ears. Same thing in chair pose, right? So notice the flat line in my back. It's not overly arched, not overly rounded, right? I want to find that nice straight line. And I'm going to use my upper back muscles to pull my head over my hips. And I'm thinking Malasana, I'm thinking Lolasana, thinking of pulling my heels up so my hamstrings are tight. I'm squeezing my thighs in like crazy, and I'm pulling my belly in. So my whole body is working as hard as it had to in Lolasana. Then after a few moments, try to turn that pose upside down. So from a nice short down dog, just take some tuck jumps. So tuck jumps, a little bit what they sound like. I want you to jump with your feet together and think about chair pose, turn on its back, or turn on its head rather. So you're using your hamstrings to squeeze your heels towards your hips. You're using your inner thighs to keep the knees towards each other, and you're using your abdomen to pull your pelvis, not your legs. Your legs will follow, but use your low belly to pull your pelvis, your hips, up and over your head. Okay? And just take like 5, maybe build up to 8 tuck jumps. So you're going to push into your hands, squeeze your arm bones in, bring your shoulders onto your back, and pull your ribs in. Okay? Squeeze your feet together, and then just butt up, heels up. Alright, so notice that my legs aren't leading the way, right? I'm trying to take my hips up first. So hips, heels. That was an exaggeration. It's a little more fluid than that, but you get the idea. So butt up, heels up. Everything's working, just like in Lolasana. So I'm squeezing in, using my hamstrings to get my heels to my hips, and I'm pulling my knees mostly towards my chest for now, or mostly towards my belly for now. So just a few of those. And if you do catch air like that, great, hold it. Like really squeeze in. Don't try not to freak out. That's like usually the first feeling of kind of catching air, and you will freak out, right? Your body will be like, and just fling itself out. But try just to kind of try again. You know, when you do fall, when you do start to catch that, you might be like, oh God. Let that happen, and then try again. Over time, it's easier to hold that, to sustain the squeezing in, even when you start to catch a little bit more air. Okay? Last thing for today. So we did this L shape on the wall in class, right? Where arms straight up and down, legs vertical to the wall, and then practice belly in, squeeze the thighs in, push through hands and feet. So you're squeezing all of your bandhas, pelvic floor, belly, throat, and you're reaching out to your endpoints. So your hands are pushing down, your feet are pushing to the wall, your butt is extending towards the ceiling, and your head is extending towards your hands. So it's all of those things. One of the reasons that I like using the chair instead of a wall, it's easier to get my legs a little lower, and I know where my feet are going to go if I decide to try lifting a leg and bringing it back down. So same idea. I want to get my hands under my shoulders. Now my feet are a little lower than my hips, but that's okay. I'm still going to feel where are my hips over my head, right? So now, push the hands down, squeeze the shoulders in. Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, Yala Bandha. And push and reach. Maybe one leg lifts. I'm now pulling my belly in, pulling all my bandhas in, and I'm extending through my toes. My leg's not noodling, right? My leg's not just hanging out. It's whoop, stretching. Watch, like when I really reach, when I really push, you can see me actually get longer. So this is me kind of like relaxed. This is me pushing and reaching, or pushing and pulling at the same time. And then foot comes down, other leg up, and just go side to side. And over time, you maybe try to just get your leg to go up so high, whoop, that one toe kind of floats off. So, float, down, float, and down. Alright? So again, I like that because your foot knows where to go when it comes back down, and you can just practice lifting one leg at a time, and practice keeping your extended leg as strong as if you were just standing on the floor. Remember that handstand is basically mountain pose, turn on its head. So as strong as you would be just like, right, like squeezing everything in, arms overhead. It's basically that same shape, that same control, like and just turn upside down, right? So practice that with your props. Practice that with your wall. Okay, when you're done.